Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our regular public council meeting for Monday, February 5th, 2024. Town of Torbay. Call our meeting to order. New business, Councilor Tapper. Councilor Pollard.
Pass.
Councilor Appleby.
Condolences, Can, Will, and FCM.
Okay. Councilor Goss.
Congratulations, please.
Deputy Mayor.
Condolences and thank you.
And I just got a thanks. Okay. Other items, Tony? Other items?
You're gonna remove that now?
Yeah.
Just the items 1 and 2 on the Planning and Development Committee meeting. There's last minute developments on those, so we have to take those off the agenda for tonight.
Okay. 1 and 2. Okay, to get a motion to adopt the agenda as amended, please.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you very much. All right, first thing on the agenda is adoption of public council minutes from January 22nd. Can I get a motion to adopt those, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any errors or omissions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you. Conflict of interest, our little sheet was handed out. If any issue comes up, we'll raise it at the time the item is raised. Proclamations, presentations, Q&A, we have none. Mayor's report. Just going to mention the birthdays for the month of February. Josh Banks, Recreation Community Services. Emma Harris, Recreation Community Services. Samuel Goss, Recreation and Community Services. Donna Norby, Torbay History House and Museum. Lisa Lewis, Infrastructure and Public Works, and Bob Goss, Infrastructure and Public Works. So I wish you all happy birthday and hope you have a good one. All right, I don't have any other stuff. Business arising. Anything on that report that anybody has any questions on? We're still in the process of paring that down, I think, aren't we? All right. Okay. Correspondence. We have a correspondence here from Sam about the spring AGM. This is April 19th to the 20th, 2024. Be nice if somebody from the town could attend. So that's out there for anybody that would like to go. Let Ann know, I guess, and get you booked. The other thing I would mention, no, I won't mention it now. I'll mention it later. No, I'll do it now. The Eastern and Avalon Regional Meeting is coming up too for M&L. So it's in Clarenville. March 1st. 1st and 2nd?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know that CAO's already registered.
No, I won't be here.
Oh, you won't be here? Oh, okay. If anybody would like to register for that, it'd be nice if the town had some representation. Again, let Ann know so she can let M&L know.
That's the day before the regional are involved, the same time as the regional meetings?
It is the regional.
It is, okay, at that, okay.
What's that?
No, I'm just thinking when you said the time, just UMC and regional.
Oh, no,
meeting.
it's not UMC. No, regional meeting
Yeah.
is the Avalon Eastern.
Yes.
Yeah, around M&L.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Committees of Council. Committee of the Whole report. We have a Committee of the Whole report for January 22nd. Could I get is there any motions in that? No motions. Could I get a motion to adopt that, please?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Planning Land Use Development.
Thank you,
Meeting
Worship.
minutes. Councilor Pollard.
Thank you, Your Worship. As you know, we removed items 1 and 2, so kind of Makes it a shorter report. Item 3 is a referral from Portugal Cove St. Phillips, and we're in receipt of a referral from the town of Portugal Cove St. Phillips to amend St. John's Urban Regional Plan, plus undertake associated municipal plan and development regulations. It's the proposal to redesignate and rezone an area of land off Meadow Heights for a potential future fully serviced residential subdivision development. It requires a regional plan amendment, and as per standard practice, it has to be circulated to other towns and that for approval. We didn't see any particular issue with it, as obviously it's deal with town of Portugal Cove St. Phillips, and the impact is nothing on us directly. So the motion is the town of Portugal Cove St. Phillips be advised that the proposed amendment was reviewed by the Planning and Land Use Development Committee on January 31st, 2024, and by the Torbay Town Council at its regularly scheduled public meeting of February 5th, 2024. May it be resolved that the Torbay Town Council has no objection to the proposed St. John's Urban Regional Plan Amendment Number 10, 2024, Meadow Heights Agricultural Lands Amendment. However, recommendation is made to possibly have the proposed amendment reviewed by the Killick Coast Agricultural Committee. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions?
I have one.
Go ahead.
Do we know if there's been any assessment of the impact of rezoning this land? We had a conversation. I was lucky enough to be able to get away lunchtime on Friday to participate in the consultations around municipal planning. And at the time, the Chamber of Commerce from PCSP were in attendance, and we did have some conversation about agricultural lands. And one of the conversation points was, once the land has been, rezoned and now there's homes on it, the potential use for agriculture there is completely gone. 95+% of the food that comes into the Northeast Avalon is shipped in, and we know that when there are major storms and there's an interruption with being able to get trucks through, we've got a serious issue. So the conversation around food sustainability and agricultural development and expansion in the region definitely is implicated by any potential rezoning of agricultural land to home development. So I'm just curious to know, before we make an approval from a town's perspective on, rezoning of this land in particular, do we understand what that impact is going to have on agriculture? I do understand the note in the motion about asking that a review may happen by the people who are doing the work with the Agricultural Society in Portugal Cove St. Phillips, but I'm kind of nervous about approving this at this point, knowing that if we say, yeah, that's fine, and that subdivision goes in, that's another piece of land that could be developed for agri-foods that could be lost forever. So I'm just wondering what analysis has been done on this before the motions come forward, and see if I can get a better understanding of what's going on here before I take a vote. Thank you.
You want to answer part of that, Julie? Go ahead. Yeah.
So this is a referral from the town of Portugal Cove St. Phillips at their request, but also at the minister's request, to lift the agricultural designation off to be able to develop this for residential purposes. The only thing I am aware of is that particular portion of land, the province had removed that from the agricultural development area, so the province itself is not protecting it for agricultural purposes. I don't know yet. I don't know if the town of Portugal Cove St. Phillips has looked into that, and that's where the comment is coming from, that we recommend they consult with the agricultural community, so at least that they can have an input. The other thing, what will happen is, what the requirement is, that all the responses that are going back to the town of Portugal Cove St. Phillips, they have to assemble and then return to the minister. So they're kind of doing the consultation for the regional plan part on behalf of the province. So the province will see this, so, but then it depends on their position on that. So really, from our perspective, I think that was the belief at the committee level. We can make the recommendation, but otherwise it's outside of our jurisdiction.
Thank you, Julia.
All right, any other comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Back to you.
Sorry. And the last motion is to accept the Torbay permit listings for weeks ending January 31st, 2024. So moved.
Second?
Hmm? Oh, yeah, okay. Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I just refer everybody to the notes that are there. There's a lot of activity going on behind the scenes, and certainly there'll be a lot more coming forward on developments in the near future.
All right. Thank you. Admin and HR, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, we met on the 19th. There's no motions. Without going down over this, I'll just highlight the first part. With regards to the corporate services administrator, the director is currently working with the director of corporate services, doing the interviews. I don't know if we got any update or anything on that, Mark or Norm, from last week. Is any?
Yeah, so interviews are conducted, and we will be proceeding with next steps in the process on that position.
Okay, thank you. Capital asset mapping technologists, the same thing there. It's being worked on. Is there anything update on that one?
Yeah, those applications have been reviewed and shortlisted, so we're looking at now creating and developing our interview board. We're looking to get some expertise on that board pertaining to that position. So we have an option there available to us, so we're just exploring that to try and get that those interviews scheduled.
Okay. And the administrative assistant with planning and development, I guess, but that one closed on Friday. There's nothing new on that one. Fire prevention officer for the volunteer fire department has been posted internally, externally, and closing on the date of February 2nd. Is there any update on that one?
Yeah, so we have 2 applications received that myself and the fire chief are reviewing right now to determine next steps.
Okay.
And
thank
I'm
you.
meeting with the Director of Planning and Development tomorrow morning to review the applications received on the administrative assistant position.
Okay, thank you. So the rest of it is just there for information purposes. Have anybody got any questions?
I've got a question. Councillor Pollard asked in the last meeting for information around the fire department's position, and I haven't seen it circulated with the job description information. There was a question asked of me by someone in the public. My understanding is that the fire chief is able to declare certain things and take certain actions. A fire prevention officer would not be able to do. And the question was, why would we hire this fire prevention position and not a fire chief in a paid position? Because that is a standard and has been pretty much standard across other municipalities that have taken action to hire. I advised the resident that the town is undertaking a study to look at regional fire services. But beyond that, I would have to ask the question. So I'm just curious, can we get some clarification around why that decision was taken, what the authorities would be, and if we can get that information circulated, because I don't recall seeing it. I may have missed it. If I have, I apologize, but I don't think I've seen it.
I certainly know the reason why the chief put forward this position instead of a paid chief, for instance, because I had that discussion with him. And he said that he felt, as the chief, that this was the most important position that he needed to have as full-time right now. So regardless of that, I guess he's doing what he feels is best for the fire department as the chief. How the reporting structure goes, the chief still reports to the CAO, but he's basically a department head like any of our directors here. Is that right, Sam?
Yes, correct, yeah. I mean, the fire chief as a department head is the same as all the other department heads within the town, and these are not the duties that a fire chief will be responsible for. So we did meet with the fire chief on a couple of occasions on this, and he believes that in order to be able to accomplish what the fire department needs to do, all of the work, the outreach work that this position is going to be involved in, working in the schools and doing the inspections, that's not the duties and responsibilities of a chief, but more of a full-time position such as this.
Okay. Thank you for that, because it's nice to have it on record. When a question's asked of me, it's nice to bring it to the chamber and ask for.
Absolutely, and anytime a question like that comes up, feel free to have them give me a call,
Yeah.
and I can have
Perfect.
that conversation with them as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just to add to that, so Trina, I'll resend to you the email that was sent out on the 23rd of January, which had a copy of the posting and the job description. So I'll make sure it gets resent to you, so it's top of your inbox.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Sorry, and
That's
very
okay.
well, I may have missed it. I fully acknowledge that one,
Yeah,
but I just wanted to make sure that we had that circulated.
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank
And
you.
I just got a question on that, and without getting into the specifics, from a HR committee, we had a couple of questions at our last meeting that you and Mark were going to
Yeah,
discuss.
we did follow that up, and we'll
all
bring
gone
that back
through?
on,
Okay,
at the next committee. But we did
Okay.
have that conversation.
okay,
absolutely.
thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you very much. Next on the list, corporate services. Councillor Tepper.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our committee met on January 31st. For our report, I'll read some of this into the record as document number 1. So under payroll, regular payroll for 57 employees for the 2-week period ended January 18, 2024, totaled $133,513.85. Accounts payable for the 2-week period ended January 26, 2024, fiscal 2023 invoices in the amount of $143,552.91 were processed and posted to the 2023 year. For the 2-week period ended January 26, 2024, invoices in the amount of $131,377.21 were processed. So we do have some invoices for approval that are listed there. There's 11 invoices, 11 operating invoices totaling $223,556.33 are presented for approval. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
And there are 4 capital invoices totaling $81,714.01 presented for approval. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Okay, we do have some motions. So motion number 1, Gale Force Volleyball.
Just, I'm in conflict on this one, so I'll be abstaining from the vote.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, Gale Force Volleyball donation request. A donation request was received from Gale Force Volleyball to assist with the cost of traveling to Edmonton, Alberta for the 15 underused nationals from May 14 to 19, 2024. The committee discussed the town's continued support of young athletes from the town and the town's ability to assist with their application in the nation's national events. So in accordance with the town's donation policy, the committee recommends a donation of $200 to Gale Force Volleyball. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Just for clarification, Councillor Goss, your conflict is what?
My daughter is on that team.
Okay, perfect, thank you. All right, any questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Motion 2, Northeast Eagles under 11 female donation request. A donation request was received from the Northeast Eagles under 11 female team to assist with the cost of traveling to provincials in Gander during Easter 2024. The committee discussed the town's continued support of young athletes from the town and the town's ability to assist with their participation in provincial events. In accordance with the town's donation policy, the committee recommends a donation of $200 to the Northeast Eagles under 11 female team. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Motion number 3, 2022 budgeted Canada Community Building Fund projects. Budget 2024 listed the following projects as eligible Canada Community Building Fund projects for 2024. Culvert and abutment replacement, $75,000. Installation of playground structure, $64,000. Pump motion drive lift station, $32,000. Pump ready drive lift station, $22,000. Marine drive control panel, $50,000. History house basement HRV system, $20,000. History house mini splits, $36,000. Insulation and wiring of common storage shed, $35,000. Community garden fence, $20,000. Fence topper senior softball field, $11,000. The committee recommends approval of the list of projects and the submission of the required capital investment plan by the Director of Corporate Services for funding approval under the Canada Community Building Fund. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Motion 4, Canada Community Building Fund funding reallocations. In order to ensure sufficient funding is available for the 2024 Canada Building Fund projects, excess funding allocated to existing projects will have to be reallocated. The following completed projects currently have unspent CCBF funding. Number 261-2019-6882, upgrade 12 local roads, $310,880. Number 261-2020-7047, upgrade culverts, $51,639. The committee recommends reallocating the excess funding currently approved for these projects and returning the excess funding to the town's unallocated funding pool for the submission of future projects. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Motion 5, Canada Community Building Fund, Woodfines Lane. The committee reviewed a request from the Infrastructure and Public Works Committee for culvert replacement on Woodfines Lane. The estimated cost of the culvert replacement is $95,017, inclusive of HST. The committee reviewed the remaining funding available under the CCBF program and identified unspent funding that could be used to fund the culvert replacement. The estimated project's cost net to the town's HST rebate is $86,165. The committee recommends submission of the Woodfines Lane culvert replacement under the CCBF program in the amount of $86,165 and request the submission of the required capital investment plan by the Director of Corporate Services. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Motion 6, Canada Community Fund, Moores Valley Road. The committee reviewed a request from the Infrastructure and Public Works Committee for culvert replacement on Moores Valley Road. The estimated cost of the culvert replacement is $96,021, inclusive of HST. The committee reviewed the remaining funding available under the CCBF program and identified unspent funding that could be used to fund the culvert replacement. The estimated project's cost net of the town's HST rebate is $87,076. The committee recommends submission of the Moores Valley Road culvert replacement under the CCBF program in the amount of $87,076 and requests the submission of the required capital investment plan by the Director of Corporate Services. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Motion 7, 2022 Canada Community Building Fund Annual Expenditure Report. The town has received the audited 2022 CCBF Annual Expenditure Report from the auditor, BDO. The committee recommends approval of the audited 2022 CCBF AER and requests a signature of the mayor on the AER to indicate council's approval. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All in favor?
Aye. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Tom?
Yeah, I have one question, and two questions actually, and I waited till the end because they all related to the CCBF. So I'm assuming now that all our funds to 2024 are taken care of by these allocations and the approvals for the 2024 budget for the ones under the Canada Building Fund and the new ones we did there from Moores Valley Road and whatever it was are included, right? The 87. Does that eliminate? Does that take care of all our?
Yep.
money now?
Excuse me. Brian and I met, and we went down through the projects for 2024, looked at our unallocated funding, and he had 4 potential projects. So we picked the 2, which would use up all our funding under this allocation of gas tax, and we'll be ready to start again when the next one comes out.
Okay, excellent. The other question I got is on the AER, the audit expenditure report. If you go to that page and look at it, you'll see the total amount approved by the CCBF committee was $5.6 million. The total amount spent for total project cost was $5,862,000, which is was approved by the CCBF committee, and yet we only spent $4.626 million for CCBF funds, which means, looking at it, we spent $973,000 more than the CCBF fund recognizes in 2022. I'm only saying that now, and this is 2022, so we got a year intervening, so there's not much we can do in an interim period. So when the 2023 report comes out, we're just going to get clarification on the differences between those 3 columns, because to me it looks like right now we were approved for amounts, which is not unusual. The amounts either are over or under all the time, but it looks like they might not have been adjusted for any overages to actually clear out the grant under the CCBF. But the CCBF funds itself looks like we spent less again than what we actually spent. So we put more money in there than we had anticipated into it ourselves. So I don't know what that looks like at the end of the day.
At the end of 2022, we had projects approved,
Yeah.
so the funding was allocated to them, but they were finished. The one with the 12 roads was another one, the culverts was another one, and in 2023, there was 5 smaller projects which actually had excess funding in them, and we reallocated all that last year. So what you will see is the amount of money that we're spending this year, if we can find that page, the amount of money we're spending this year won't drastically change the total amount approved, because we're taking it out of one project and putting it into another project. At the end of 2023, we had approximately $500,000 sitting in our gas tax account for money that we hadn't actually spent yet, and that's all those excesses that we're reallocating.
Okay, that partially covers, but it's still the explanation between the 3 columns. But I don't expect that answer now, Norman, because we got another year intervening before we see the next at the end of 2023. We got a year's work coming, but just want to keep an eye on that when it comes out.
All right, any additional questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Motion 8, tax sale 1327 Torbay Road. The property at 1327 Torbay Road has outstanding tax arrears of $14,798.74. The property is vacant, and all necessary notices of arrears have been posted to permit a tax sale for this property. The value of the property is sufficient that all outstanding taxes and legal costs will be recovered through the tax sale process. In accordance with Section 140, the property can be sold for tax sale 30 days after the town's responsibilities under the notice of tax sale have been completed. The committee recommends the approval of the tax sale for 1327 Torbay Road and authorizes municipal staff to complete the responsibilities as outlined under Section 140 to proceed with the tax sale of the property. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? Go ahead.
I asked a question, I guess, probably a week or so ago. How come this particular house was identified? And I know that there's other homes, properties that have outstanding taxes as well. And this one was identified and the name was put in the Northeast Avalon Times as the owner of the property.
I believe it was done in error, if I stand.
Yeah, do you want me to speak to that?
Yes.
Yeah, there was an email that I sent out, and hopefully you've all had a chance to see that. And what happened there, that stage was actually at section 137, which was the notification stage to the property owners and anybody that had an interest in the property. Unfortunately, the legal team at the time, or the legal law firm, instructed staff to post it publicly, which was an error, and they fully acknowledged that. Having said that, there appears at this point to be no legal liability to that. And you know, we've talked to the law firm, they acknowledge it was an error. However, we still need to move through the section 140 now, so essentially it's going to be advertised again, but this time appropriately under section 140. But it was done in error under section 137.
How come this is the only home and resident that has been identified with outstanding taxes, when there's several others?
Well, that's the stand. Norm, go ahead.
This one was actually in process before I even got here, and it's just getting to the point to be sold now. We, in the last couple of years, we haven't sent any properties in for tax sale.
No, I know, it hasn't happened since Rodney Cumby was here years ago. We actioned off, I think Mayor Codner was here at that point in time. This house is after coming up with people identifying that it probably should be demolished, but again, when I look at these, everybody's not able to keep their house up to what a certain standard is. And I guess I take exception to that when we talk about delinquent properties, and that was also considered that. And how come we haven't again identified, and this is the only one? Of all my time being on planning and development, not once did this ever come up as a priority. And we have other houses, and we just dealt with one a while back that we were looking at. And I know there's a fine line between the outstanding taxes and delinquent properties, but I know that that had come forward as a delinquent property, but we have no set standard on what a delinquent property is and how it should be maintained. So I take it to that, and I also wanted to be known that we normally update as a committee of the whole when these processes are going through, and I keep saying it's nice to have a heads up when something like this is happening, because none of us like to be asked a question and say, I don't know anything about it. So I was not aware of this until I saw it in the Northeast Avalon Times, and maybe there was a list, and I went back looking for a list of other outstanding properties with taxes on them, and because I know this is something that, you know, if they come in here tomorrow, somebody in that family and wants to look at this after this motion is passed tonight, do they still have an opportunity to come in and look at trying to work out something with the town?
Well, the under section 137, that's the point of section 137, is to provide notice to all of the parties, and that's their opportunity then to come in and settle the outstanding amount before we move to action. So that process has been followed. There was no response. So the next step then in that process,
So
and there's a 60-day period, by the way.
After this motion tonight, my question is, can these owners of this property still come in and work out something without having this to go to auction, or after this motion
I would suggest, I
tonight?
mean, our main goal is that we recover the outstanding taxes. And if someone is willing to come in and settle that at any point, I would suggest we would be able to do that.
You would be able to do that?
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to ask the question, and I'm looking for an answer.
Your time's up.
I want to know, and I put it in writing, why this was the only home that was identified as outstanding taxes, and when we have several others. I
But-
think that that's required a question,
I
and I
understand.
asked it already,
Okay, but
and I want an answer.
I don't know if there's other outstanding properties in the town
There
that
is.
have outstanding taxes. Someone's tax bill really is their own.
I don't know if
personal-
you're in the proper position to answer that. I guess it would be one of the directors that would know that to answer.
Well, I mean, I'll speak briefly to it. Obviously, a tax sale is a last resort. You know, anytime you have delinquent taxes or taxes in arrears, opportunities or steps are taken to try and resolve that before we move to that final resort of a tax sale. So in any of these cases, all the individuals are given ample opportunity to work with us and deal with us. And if the individuals had come back, we would have worked out settlements and payments amounts. So there's lots that the town would have been able to do. But in a case where there is no response to that, then we have no other choice but to move towards that. I would also say that this is a function of the staff. The Municipal Corporate Service Division, that's the business that they are in, is dealing with taxation, and I would suggest that that's something that should be reserved and should be kept at that level. And they're obviously looking at the best interest of the community in collecting those taxes. And that's, what's happening here. Yes, I acknowledge, as we all do, that there probably are other outstanding taxes, and I would also suggest that the council would, not council, sorry, but staff would deal with those as well.
My
Norm, I
question
don't
is
know if there's
still not
anything else to-
answered, so I'll leave it and I'll expect an email.
I don't think any of the people who were originally here who sent this to the lawyer's office are actually still with the town.
Okay.
Could I just make a point?
Well, isn't it your motion?
Yeah.
Go ahead, back to you. Any?
I
Oh,
know-
Mr. Moran,
yeah,
any
yeah.
other questions? Go.
Yeah, I have a couple just quick questions. Number one, Norm, when was this sent to the lawyers? What year?
Before my time, I got an email back from the lawyers ready to proceed with 1327, and I didn't send it to them, so it would predate me.
Okay. So Deputy Mayor, that would be within the time frame that you would have been chair of the committee, planning committee, I would think. The other question I'm curious
Not about
about
it.
is to the Deputy Mayor's question. She said that she wanted to know if the family were to come in and to try to resolve this now, if that would be an option, and the CAO said we'd welcome an opportunity to resolve that. However, I'm curious before I vote to understand, is there a set amount of time, Sandy? Because we're gonna have to have a space where we move on this for that window, and I think it needs to be very clear before we vote what that would be. So it says here, it can be sold by tax sale 3 days after the town's responsibilities under the notice tax sale have been completed. Does that give us a set window and date for when we can?
Yes,
Sell
well,
that?
initially, under section 137, the notice, the property owner is given 60 days. That 60 days has now expired. So once we move from here now, there's a period of time as well, and that's all set out in the legislation.
Okay,
So but that process will continue. We're not waiting. We still have to carry out that process.
so just so I'm clear and I understand, we pass this motion tonight. There is a set period of time that is set out in legislation from this motion forward.
Right, we have to provide public notice, and that
Okay.
has to be done for a certain period of time, yes, as set
And-
out in the legislation.
And within that window, that would be the time frame that you're talking about, that the deputy mayor asked if the family were to come in to look at settling that
Right,
tax arrears, that could be done. But once that time period, as per legislation, is complete, then with this motion, the town could proceed.
with the auction,
With the auction.
yes.
Okay, thank you for the clarification, I appreciate it.
Before we close out on that, can I just
ahead.
comment, and I share the Deputy Mayor's concerns as well. If indeed the resident is treated any differently than anybody else, and if it's done in error, I think we owe that person an apology, at least for that. But the process, I'm more concerned with in that, to get to the point now where we're asking the person to come in and resolve in 60 days, I would assume that there's a record somewhere of multiple
Oh,
attempts to
absolutely.
reach out and contacts with this person. So it's not like we're just saying 30 days from now. There should be a history of calls, because I know from doing it years ago, that it takes a long time to get to this point. You're usually a series of negotiations, conversations, can or can't do this, whatever, before it gets to this point.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I think this one did get tied up in the fact that the condition of the house is run down as well. So I think there's probably a multiple of crossing reasons for it going to tax sale. But I just make sure that everybody is treated the same way, and that there's a good record of exactly what transpired during it.
Okay,
Absolutely.
further comment?
I just want to mention as well that under the Flood Committee reports, going back several meetings, there is a list of several other properties that are kind of dilapidated or, in poor condition, and this was one of them. And there was another one that was deferred, actually. We were going to deal with it tonight, but it's deferred. I brought the list forward, actually, because I just went around the town and looked at properties and brought it forward as a member of the Flood Committee. And that's where it's most likely originated from. But, action has been taken, and director found it's been on books for years. And it was an item on the items carried forward under new business that I brought forward for these, some of these
It's
properties.
amazing, when I called you and asked you about it, you didn't recall anything about it.
I didn't have it in front of me, Mary. I didn't know what you were referring to.
Order, please.
Okay,
All right.
so anyway, there is a list.
First of all, I just want to point out there's a difference between dilapidated properties and
Yeah.
tax abatement. That's two different things.
Yeah.
Right, and we do have a policy in place for people who are struggling with their taxes to be able to come into the town and work out a plan to work with us to prevent this type of thing, right?
We have a tax deferral policy where they can defer the taxes, lien them against the property, and continue on and just pay their water. And we just let it build up until the property is eventually sold. They dispose of the property themselves.
Right, okay. Okay. All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, we have a couple of more motions. Number 9, tender heavy-duty pickup with dump 2024-01-24B. The committee reviewed the bids received on the tender for a heavy-duty pickup with dump and the added accessories: floor mats, reverse alarm, seat coverings, and running boards. 2 bids were received. Cabot Ford for $140,418.21 plus HST. Avalon Ford, $159,348.23 plus HST. The committee recommends awarding the tender for the heavy-duty pickup with the dump to the lowest bidder, Cabot Ford, in the amount of $140,418.21 plus HST. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion 10, tender 3/4 ton pickup 2024-0202A. The committee reviewed the bids received on the tender for a 3/4 ton pickup with the added accessories: floor mats, reverse alarm, bed liner, seat coverings, back rack, traffic arrow, and running boards. 3 bids were received. Cabot Ford, $84,014.85 plus HST. Hickman Motors, $85,011. Avalon Ford, $87,308.95 plus HST. The committee recommends awarding the tender for the 3/4 ton pickup to the lowest bidder, Cabot Ford, in the amount of $84,014.85 plus HST. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
I had a question in general.
Go ahead.
In relation to these. Are we going to try to move to electric vehicles at some point? Just a question. I suppose these are all standard gas.
This is a good one, particularly considering we got chargers there, but I would say we'd have to upgrade those chargers to at least a level 2 charging station to be able to charge quick enough. But yeah, we should take a look at a policy on that, on vehicle fleet renewal.
I saw a document or a study that was done with the municipal world. I think I sent it out to a few people, where they're looking at with the fleets and with the emissions and that, looking at rental and leasing versus having an actual fleet. And that was done, I think, out west somewhere, and they're looking at the benefits of not having a fleet and getting
Right.
the vehicles.
Grand Falls, Windsor has done it.
But I'm looking at, like out in Saskatchewan somewhere, is where the study and everything was done, and the benefits of not owning a fleet.
So we can inquire with Grand Falls, Windsor, see what they do.
Yeah, Portugal, St. Phillips have gone
Right,
that
I
route.
know
Right.
that Grand Falls did it through canoe
Not least.
procurement.
What's that?
Not lease vehicles.
No, but they've gone
Gone
forward
electric. They
with
got-
electric, yeah.
Well, they got a
Electric.
grant from FCM for that
Yeah.
as well, so
Yeah.
you got 6 vehicles for the price of 1.
Mhm.
Well,
I think Pasadena has electric bus,
well,
not sure. But there are options out there available, certainly.
Mayor, can I speak to that for a second?
Go ahead.
Councillor Pollard makes a good point, but I think it would be responsible for us to do a investigation analysis into the risk and the return and what that looks like. I mean, an application for the FCM funding that Portugal St. Phillips were successful in receiving would absolutely be part of that conversation. the cost that's required for the upgrade to be able to plug it in here would want to be part of that conversation. Also, it's my understanding that the batteries to replace in the electric vehicles can be quite expensive. And so the understanding that I have, and I stand to be corrected because I'm certainly no expert on this, but if you purchase an electric vehicle and then the battery dies, the cost of replacing that battery can be such that it's quite expensive. So I think like some further analysis based on the risk, return on investment, and what that means would certainly be prudent, and then we could have a further conversation about where to from here with that. But I would like to see a little more analysis on what that looks like before we pursue any decisions on it. The other thing, I don't know if now is the right time to mention it or not, but if it's okay, we did approve the motion for the HRV and the mini splits at the History House. But my recollection in the Infrastructure and Public Works meeting when we talked about that was that Brian was going to investigate a combined unit that would have the mini split and the HRV work together as a collective in the unit. So I just wanted to note that it's been passed separately, but Councillor Pollard, my recollection of that conversation was that we would look into one unit so that it was all intertwined and that would handle and deal with like some of the humidity and stuff like that with the building. Was that your recollection of the committee discussion as well?
That was a conversation. But
Yeah.
And they probably will take it under advisement now, because what this motion had done was just allow us to put in capital investment plans for approval of that funding to be used for those purposes, right? So they combine, they could submit one CIP for the combined totals.
So I just wanted to record that conversation from our committee discussion in this, because the basement over there with the mold issues and that, like the HRV can do some of that stuff down there, but if the HRV is tied into the rest of the heat pump solution for that space, then there could be humidity controls that are throughout the whole thing, and we're looking to see if there's cost efficiencies and rebates and stuff that makes sense there. So that was the discussion at the Infrastructure and Public Works Committee meeting, and I just wanted to have it on record for this tonight, now that we've approved money to look into it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. That it, sir?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Economic Development and Tourism, Councillor Appleby.
All right, let me have a look. Myself and Councillor Manning met with our Economic Development and Tourism Officer, Carrie Marie, on January 25th from 6 to 7 p.m. We talked about the meeting for the Economic Development Officer to connect with the high school about the Youth Entrepreneur Competition for 2024. And I will note, as I was getting ready to come here this evening, I picked out a pair of earrings that I actually purchased from a teenager in our high school. Right here, we're sporting them proudly. So I think this is really important for us to be involved in and working with the high school in that way. The online business directory, the business listings are confirmed, and there'll be an update on the website. Carrie's going to keep an eye on that. The website updates, there's notes there about sections of the website that are being updated with more current information. The discussion on forming a regional chamber of commerce. This is not a new conversation. It's been ongoing for quite some time, but I think it's important to touch on this for a minute. When I joined the planning meeting for the municipal plan review on Friday at lunchtime, there were two representatives there. One was one of the founding members of the Portugal Cove St. Philip's Chamber of Commerce, and the other was a staff person, their executive director. And, you know, it was really valuable having them in the room to be a part of the municipal plan conversation, because there's so many opportunities for synergies and working regionally in the Killy Coast region. I think that it would be really beneficial. I was actually handed a letter, which has been sent to the director and staff, inviting council to meet with the town of Portugal, or sorry, the Chamber of Commerce, they're really interested in having the conversation about how do we take the Chamber of Commerce that was started at Portugal Cove St. Phillips and expanding that in the Killy Coast region. So the conversation, as I understand it, would be for them to come in. We've discussed it at committee level, and I think it's a great idea. Councillor Manning thought it was a great idea at the time. So I think the logical next step now would be for them to meet with council and have a conversation about, what role would council play? How could the communities come together? I suggested that maybe, the conversation of the mayors and deputy mayors, maybe this could be an agenda item there as well. I think it would be helpful if the chamber created a deck and, kind of had a plan of what next steps might look like and then what the town's involvement might be and how they work with the business community. I know that Kerry, can connect and share their information to our business community. But my understanding, similar to the M&L structure, right? Like we had certain things that made it worth, communities' while to participate with the membership. There's conversations that can be had here. So I think that's really exciting, really looking forward to seeing where those next steps are. I've asked Kerry to follow up on that staff person, and see where that conversation goes. And the other thing is the Portugal Cove St. Phillips Chamber is looking to host a meeting on February 27th. So they have the Torbay Common booked right now, and they're working on putting that together. And my understanding is they're looking to bring people in to have conversations about business development and engaging the CBDC. The planned meetings that he has here, of course, meeting with Ron Delaney to have a conversation about garden tourism and communities in bloom. We thought it was best to connect him with our friends there and talk about all the success they've had and, how it's grown in our community. So that's great. And Kerry is going to connect with the CBDC Cabot as well. And I know he had run across Danny at a meeting, but just to facilitate the connection with himself and the CBDC. I will disclose that I'm a board member with the CBDC. However, there's no financial kickback for me for the town to have anything to do with the CBDC in any way. My role there is not, it's to review business applications. There's no financial kickback or
Benefit.
benefit.
Not kickback don't sound very good.
Well, there's nothing, there's no, nothing that I can see as a conflict, but I just wanted to declare that I do sit on that board of directors as well, so that, if the staff person on the committee that I'm working with is speaking with them, that the public it can be aware. If there were anything, Mayor, I would flag it. I think I'm the queen of flagging conflict of interest, but I just wanted to note that that I serve on that board, and that's it. So other than that, that's the update on the committee meeting. If there's any questions, happy to speak to them.
Sure. Any questions? None? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. History, Heritage, Culture, and Arts, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, since there's no motions in this, and we've talked about, I guess, with some of the other committees, if there's not a motion about going down over it, so from here, when we're talking about now looking at rules of procedure and that, what way do you want this done? To highlight things, or where there's no motions? Because any committee that has a motion in it, they don't go down over all the other items, so.
You don't have to. If there's something in there that you feel is important that you'd like to highlight, you can do it. Otherwise, the report is there for everybody's information.
I have one question.
Yeah,
Who took the typewriter off the type report?
That's what-
And they need one or two brushes to clean out those little circles on the old ones and stuff.
It is the History and Heritage House now.
I know. That was the first thing I was going to say, because they've been without internet and that up there since the 19th or something of January. And Noah took out the old computer, or the old typewriter, and basically done this up, even the agenda. Have they got internet since?
Yes, yeah.
They got it now, have they?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
resolved, just after this was done.
Yeah. Okay, and the big things that I highlight there was the Signal, CBC Signal was there, did a live broadcast on the 26th, which went over really well. But a lot of this is, information that's been on the go for a while. I don't know, Councillor Tappy, if you want to give an update there. You had a meeting about the Mannion project. If
yeah,
you want
we've-
to get in particulars on
We're
that.
trying to get it back on track. There's nothing really new to report, but we've got a meeting of the steering committee coming up now in a couple of weeks, and we've got some new members in the steering committee going forward. So we're hoping to get another meeting with those new members as well. So we'll get back on track.
Okay.
The other thing was about the, mention about the Bradbury Memorial Fund Committee. They were looking at having a meeting, and they were pleased with the amount of donations that they had received. And the other thing there is worth mentioning, I think, is the funding from ACOA, the application, and that I guess the intent was to have that spent by year end this year. So they're looking at having to submit a new application for 2024-25. And I guess that's something that we have to really keep a close watch when we get money funding like that, is the timeframes that we have allocated to get that, because there's no guarantees that we're going to get that same amount of funding back as we had originally got. So I don't know if anybody's got any other comments or anything on what Noah's got in here. I'd like to thank Noah for taking out the old typewriter and typing that up.
I've got two questions, if I can. First question is, why were they without internet service? What happened?
There was an issue with Rogers on the pole, which was, I assume, resolved. But there was also an internal issue where I think it was Triware, and came in and there was something unplugged. It was a very simple fix that nobody was aware of. But they came in and noticed that there was something that was unplugged, and they just plugged it back in.
Okay.
So it was quite a simple fix. It's just that nobody knew what that was.
Wow, okay.
As is often the case with these types of things, there's usually a simple solution. It's just finding it.
Gotcha. The other comment I wanted to make was around the Mannion project. You know, I may tend to beat some things to death, but I'm going to on this one, because that's an important project. And it should be a Torbay destination. We should have a campaign around that, whereby people are all over it. You know, their genealogy and ancestry is a multi-million, billion-dollar industry across the globe right now. And the fact that we have that MOU and agreement in place, the fact that we have that there, I really think the town of Torbay should be looking at that as part of the destination planning for why people want to come here. Part of the conversation that we had on Friday was around economic development and tourism, and how do we do that sort of stuff. And some of it is the nature-based tourism, the fact that we have whales and we have icebergs and we have gorgeous coastlines and trails, and that's really important. But this is another piece here where I think that we really should be, you know, focusing in on and sharing out there for anybody that's got an ancestry that could be in that space, that, you know, could be aware of the Mannion project. There's such an opportunity for us to be sharing that. And I know I was speaking with a resident in the community not that long ago, and they said to me, which I thought was really strange, Torbay History House, you guys over there should be doing something about ancestry and genealogy, and me and my friends, we get together and we do all this stuff, and I'd volunteer my time if I knew that Torbay was doing something with it. And I said, well, let me inform you about the Mannion project and what we're doing, and we are looking at it in that space. So that's a resident that's in our community who is interested in this. So I really think that maybe if we can look at adding some social media content, you know, some of the destination targeted tourism ads that we have been doing, if we look at that, think about it. I mean, the fact that we have this amazing partnership with Ireland, the amazing, you know, connections that we have here, I see so much potential for that. So I'll ask Sandy, maybe if you can chat with your staff team to see if there's something further that we can look at around with that. I mean, we have an hour committee, and it's not really enough time to get into these things in detail, but I see such an opportunity for synergy and destination planning and putting Torbay on the map.
Those discussions are ongoing.
Good. So yeah, I just want to make sure that we're having those conversations, because I think from the first day we had this conversation, I think I was sitting in this seat actually when we had that meeting. I've been all for that project, and I think we want to make sure that we're you know,
So
make
do I,
interest known a bit. Thank you.
Need to pass along that person's name now, because Councillor Tapper, we were trying to come up with some other people that might be interested.
Well, I'll let her
They're
know
right,
I've
yeah,
mentioned it
get-
tonight,
yeah.
and if she's interested, I will
Your
certainly
contact, yeah,
hand her name across.
good.
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Not, Infrastructure, Public Works, Councilor Pollard.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just as Deputy Mayor said, there's no motions here this time, so I only want to highlight a few things. It's there for your reading purposes, but from current things going on, the most recent update is in section F, 1F there, under the CCBF fund, the Canada Community Building Fund, where we had there's estimates there now for those culverts we approved two earlier under the finance, and there's two more that will be looked at hopefully in order once we actually find some additional funding to be able to cover those off. Other than that, there's not much else unless Councillor Appleby has anything. I know we're still working on the piece of land for the treatment site, and we'll have more after our next committee on that, hopefully.
Okay,
Other
any
than that,
questions?
No, good, thanks.
All right, thank you very much. Recreation and Community Services, Councilor Goss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, this week, we had done an update. Unfortunately, I could not attend in the last minute, so our Director, Jen Martin, did the update. But there is a motion there with our accessibility plan. It was decided a motion of council is needed to approve the accessibility plan that was released to residents December to meet the legislation deadline of December 31st. So the motion reads, motion to approve the Town of Torbay's 2024-2026 accessibility plan and to commit to creating a more inclusive community by all taking action on items in the plan and ensuring it's being updated and followed based on Government of Newfoundland and Labrador's Accessibility Act legislation. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, comments?
just one question.
Right.
I went down through the plan and I was wondering if it might be possible to identify specifics, maybe on a Gantt chart or something for timeframes, so we can tie it into certain timeframes, the actions that are required. That's all I'd say, and just so we don't lose track, because this is very important and it will certainly impact anything that we do moving forward, from any infrastructure, in building wise, and really accessibility in parks and things of that nature as well. So if we can just start nailing down some timelines, I guess it'll probably make it easier for us to stay on track.
Yeah, we have a committee struck that's working on that. Jen, I assume, is chairing or co-chairing.
Yeah, when we start meeting with the accessibility committee, we'll look at the actions in there and probably prioritize, or we will prioritize which one should be dealt with first, and then we'll put some timelines on it and look at what that looks like budget-wise and the commitments we need to look forward to, I guess.
Yeah, thanks, Jen.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Can I speak to that too, Mayor,
Go ahead.
please? You know, it's not that long ago, somebody made a comment to me, and I can't remember exactly where it came from at this point, but the comment was about the inclusiveness of Torbay and very much being appreciative of Torbay being an inclusive community. And, you know, I think this commits council on that path. And I think that, you know, it's really important. We don't always see spaces or understand, you know, where someone may need inclusion or accessibility. But the fact that we're adopting this plan tonight, that we're having this conversation, striking up that committee, looking at timelines, budgets, deliverables, action items, really nails down putting the conversation about inclusion and equity into action and practice. So I want to thank the director for her work in getting this report ready and putting it before council. And I want to thank council for making sure that inclusion and accessibility is something that we're focused with here at the town of Torbay. And I will share, maybe next time we're sitting around the table, when and how that came up, but I can't remember. But someone did say to me they really appreciate it. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? All right, thank you very much.
Didn't vote.
Let's
You didn't
vote.
vote on the
Oh,
motion.
yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Carried.
And as an addendum there, there's also an age breakdown for the facility rentals for January 2024 and the age breakdown programs for 2024 as well.
All right.
If there's any questions.
I was wondering what that was all
I
about.
just want to speak to this, because at the last committee meeting, I asked the question of, I guess, with the gym and how much time that our seniors had versus the youth. So that's why we looked at this and asked Jen to bring it forward, so you can see that basically it's 8 hours a month for the multi-purpose room and the gym, and it's especially for the gym with the active 50-plus group that's in there. Because again, where they were, well, it was supposed to be the 1st of February, but now it's the end of January, so that they were all given, I guess, considered equal, at least with the amount of time separating the youth and the seniors. I'm just saying that that's where the report and that came
Okay.
from, and with a decision on a go-forward basis that the seniors be given at least a comparable amount of time, anybody that's looking at it, because right now they're way below what the, anybody else is having.
Okay.
Can I speak to that? Oh, go ahead. Has Councillor Tapper had one?
I think,
Okay.
I just wanted to say, it's really hard because there's so many more youth groups than seniors groups, so it'd be really hard to make sure the seniors groups got equal time in the gym. But the other thing I think it's important to point out that this particular group has been offered 2 other time slots in the gym. They don't want it. So this isn't a case of us not being able to fit them in the gym. It's a case of them wanting one particular spot that we can't offer them. So we are trying our best to accommodate them. It's just not that easy when you have a full gym schedule.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Appley?
Thanks, Mayor. The other point of this I think I want to just speak to is for some of the program age breakdown here, hours per week. You know, I just recently signed up for the yoga group, and you know, there are seniors that are involved, they're 50 plus, who are in, and I've been in both time slots because I had some makeup to do when I signed up a little bit late. And a shout out to Pam Senior, because she's an amazing yoga practitioner, and the class is fabulous. And it was really great to see Deputy Mayor in my time slot when I went in the other night, and I went, oh my goodness, look at
I
this.
knew the voice was familiar.
But I, you heard me before you saw me, did you? No surprise. But I think that it's important when we're looking at, you know, the age groups in some of these activities as well, that some of those people are 50 plus who are participating in the programs. So the seniors / youth comparable here, you know, there's some of that to be factored in. And the other thing, if I could, Mayor, I wanted to put a shout out to recreational staff. I received an email today from Kirk Comben, and my son, who was registered for the ball hockey program, loved it, enjoyed it, had a fabulous experience when he was in that the fall. And Kirk had noticed that there wasn't a whole lot of intramural uptake. So what they did, and I love this, I got an email today that said, hey, for any of you kids that were in the ball hockey, we're doing this on Tuesday night. So instead of leaving it and wondering who could show up, there was actually a targeted email that was sent out to the families of children who were in that age group who were interested in that sport to say, hey, your kids can participate in this if they want to drop in. So hats off for data mining what we have in registration and targeting to get kids out. Because I'll tell you, as an elected official in this town and as a parent, I would have missed Tuesday or Wednesday nights intramural drop-in. Very, 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 and I'm a counselor. So for the staff to take the initiative to send out that message to the families that they knew had children who may get an hour and enjoy it. And then Kirk even, because I wanted to make sure I clearly understood it, then he went a step further and explained to me that not only is ball hockey this week coming, but soccer the week after, there's a disc thing going on, and dodgeball. So there's 4 weeks of activities that I can now speak to my son about, have him go to school and talk to his buddies about, and maybe have more people, youth in this case, enjoying the common. So I just wanted to throw out the bouquet on that, because you don't have to take those extra steps, but when you take them and you engage with people, then the community use of the facility is that much more possible and real, right? So I just wanted to toss that out there, and hats off to your staff person for that. Thanks, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Okay, any other questions? All right, moving on. Liaison committees. Atlantic Mayor's Congress, no update. Intergovernmental Affairs, no update. Oh, we did kind of get an update before the council meeting on our water, but we're not ready to update yet.
Not yet.
Jack Byrne,
Thursday night meeting.
Thursday night meeting, okay. Northeast Avalon Joint Council,
Got a meeting next Wednesday night, next one.
okay. RNC, I don't have any update. Torbay
We were gonna
Volunteer,
have them come in and have a meeting.
Sandy was gonna look into that.
They said
Yeah,
that they
you
would.
were going to
after-
talk to your contact.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll send him an email.
You and I talked about that a while back.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'll put that on
He's
the list.
aware of it, he's just waiting for.
I'll put that on the list of things to do tomorrow.
Now, if there's someone you want me to reach out to, I mean, I can, it's not a problem. Let me know.
All right.
Can I ask for one more thing on that?
Sure.
I passed an RNC constabulary vehicle the other day on the Outer Ring Road. And, I've heard people in the community saying the RNC are never down here, they're not, in Torbay. But I've received emails from RNC officers when I was on open line talking about please stop speeding. And one of the constables actually sent me an email and said, Councillor Appleby, I'm in your town, I'm actually handing out tickets right now, and I thanked him for that. Is there any way for us to get some sort of report from the RNC about what they're doing here? Like, we don't need to know every minute that they're in the community, nor would they want us, I'm sure, to know that. But could we ask that there's some sort of an update? I know you guys get them at the Northeast Avalon regional meetings, because I used to participate in those when I was the Avalon director at M&L. But it would be really nice to get some of those stats, if we could, about how much time they spent in Torbay doing traffic or whatever else, or if they gave out tickets or speeding or whatnot, because people see this on the agenda, and we talk about it sometimes here, but we don't always have a consistent ability to share that information. And we also talked about having them down again to do the speeding consultation conversation. So it'd be really nice to nail a date down on that and figure out when that might be, because the longer lead time we have for that, the better people can plan and maybe able to get out and participate.
Right.
So just want to
I'll touch
toss
base
that
with you tomorrow, Sandy, we'll
Okay.
figure that out.
All right.
Yeah.
But they do have statistics that they could run and provide to us, and I talked to them about that before.
Yeah.
And I mean, to your point, right? So I received numerous phone calls and emails about speeding on enemy line. So finally the RNC comes down and parks on enemy line and are handing out tickets. And somebody goes on Facebook and warns people that the police are on, RNC are on enemy line giving out tickets, slow down. Like, come on, they're there for a reason.
Well, Mayor, I would say that any communication that asks people to slow down would be positive. But because the end goal is just that, right?
Right.
But I think that, it would be important for people in the community to be able to see the presence here, because we see them, we pass them, we know they're around.
Yeah.
But it would be cool if we could reflect it maybe in our meetings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm gonna reach out and ask for some statistics for our
Okay.
Thank you.
statistic providers.
Yeah.
Okay, Torbay Volunteer Fire Department. Rhonda's not here. No update. I will provide a quick update that I received an email from the chief today that they were not successful in getting the grant for that regional fire study. So
I was
we're gonna have
surprised.
to, Sandy's gonna talk to them. We're gonna have to figure out, is there another way we can go about that, or how we can do it? We're gonna have to reach out to our partners that we're looking at getting that study done and see if there's another funding opportunity or what other options are available for us to get that work completed. So it was unfortunate, but is what it is. I went on and looked at the list of, it was 9 projects
Mhm.
that were approved. And, I don't know, I thought the one that we were looking at doing was significantly, I wouldn't say more important, but when you're talking about fire and life safety and potentially, looking at a regional fire service, I thought that was pretty
Yeah,
important.
absolutely.
But I guess not as important as some things. That's all I'll say.
But
We'll
you
leave
know
it at
what,
that, yeah.
Mayor, if we think about the water, when I was first elected in 2017, how many water applications did we make and get rejected year after year? We couldn't get anywhere with it. We stuck with it and determined one way or another was gonna happen, and now look where we are. So I think this was the beginning of something amazing, and Chief can work with CAO now and continue to explore, opportunities for funding and move that agenda forward, so. It's just not right now, but I don't think it's not gonna happen.
It's not off the table, no.
It's
No,
a conversation that has to happen. and study needs to
I
be
agree
done.
with you on the water,
Yeah.
but this council has spent an awful lot of our residents' money on things that we got rejected from the provincial government for funding, like fire trucks, for instance, that we went out and purchased 100%. So it's nice sometimes to be able to avail of these things, but anyway, it is what it is. Every community has their own priorities that they need to get funded, and I am happy for the ones that got the funding, and I'm disappointed for us that didn't. That's how that rolls. All right, Urban Municipalities Committee, I don't have any update. Our next meeting is in, it's March or April, maybe, April. I got the date somewhere, and I'll share that, just when I get it figured out. We're just in the process of nailing down a time frame. It's in Pasadena, I believe, so, anyway, that's all I got for that. No notice motion, new business, Councillor Tapper passed, I think.
Yep.
Councillor Pollard passed, Councillor Appleby.
Thank you, Mayor. The first thing I wanted to do is to issue condolences to the Crouch family in Pooch Cove. I will tell you, as a mom who has a child in that same grade, in that same school, the loss of this young boy is heartbreaking, period. But there's an extra layer of it hitting home. When it's a kid that's your own son's age. And I can tell you, as I read the obituary, my family has a puddin' the same as they have a puddin'. A little boy who's going to school every day, engaged in the community stuff that he's doing in school, and just heartbroken. So I want to thank everybody who's shared the messaging and information about how to support the family. I want to offer my sincerest condolences to the family. And I want to ask people to be just that much more kinder to each other, because we really, really need that right now. I wanted to thank the schools as well for sharing information with kids. And I know that information was shared at the high school and at Juniper Ridge. And I know that today there was some communication sent out about supporting the family through the schools as well. So just want to take a minute to acknowledge that incredible loss and to send love to that family. Council related, I wanted to share with the council that I have been invited to participate in the evaluation for the Can-Will program. So that's the Canadian Women in Leadership program. I'll be participating in meetings for that during the month of February. As the chair of the national committee at FCM around women's participation in municipal government, I was invited to be part of that evaluation, so I'll happy to make time for that. The other thing I wanted to advise council is that the next set of FCM meetings are happening in Prince George, British Columbia, I chose not to request to travel in person for these meetings. I'm going to participate virtually. So the latter part of February and the early part of March, I am registered and scheduled to participate virtually. I think, looking at the work that we do here, it's really important to balance a hybrid approach and to travel all the way out to British Columbia right now when I know that the AGM and conference is in Calgary, and also knowing that I fully intend to put my name back in to represent the town when it comes back out again, at some level of FCM, that I may have an interest in the November meetings where we're actually face-to-face with the MPs lobbying on behalf of our municipalities. So with that in mind, I just want council to be aware that my plan for these meetings is to participate virtually. So if anybody wants anything brought forward or advocated at that table, by all means, let me know before the meetings come up. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Councillor Goss.
I wanted to add to what I was going to say, just to also say that, heartfelt condolences go out to that family as well. It's tough times in the community when a young boy like that loses his life, and I feel for that family, and I just want to know that we as a council and me as personally, we feel for that family, and again, heartfelt condolences. On a more, still on the school note, I wanted to pass along that this past weekend that our two U15 volleyball teams from Holy Trinity, they participated in the provincials this weekend, and great showings by both. And I wanted to say how much these two programs have improved. Last year, our girls team placed third this year in Tier 1. Last year, I don't even think we came close to placing in Tier 2 or 3. So to make that kind of a jump in our boys program, which is probably the only volleyball program that's been in, I think, Holy Trinity in quite some time, not that I can remember, but they finished fourth in the provincials. And again, last year, the program was not to where it is now, so I think it's a kudos to those young athletes and the time that they and their coaches are putting in with them. So big congratulations.
Excellent, thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Without getting into it in as much detail as Councillor Appleby, my condolences to the coach family as well. My grandson Gerald is in the same grade and knew this little fellow, so it's to say that it's heartbreaking. I can't get them out of my mind. It's very sad. I also want to pass along my condolences to the Wall family in passing off MHA Wall's father, Bob. I remember being very young, and all my mother used to say if she was going into the Hillside Festival or the time in Torbay or Swilers, whatever it was called back then, she wanted to be in there when Bob Wall was up. He used to kickstart normally back then. And thank you to the Tap House last week. The atmosphere, the people that were there, the meal was absolutely delicious. So between the staff and with the town and the staff at the Tap House, kudos to everyone who put that together. It was a job well done. That's it for me.
All right, thank you. I echo the condolences for both those families. Bob's son Raymond is my next door neighbor, and his other son Jody is our MHA and my friend. So, I echo those. And I was talking to Bob's wife the other night. I said, I really like Bob. He always had time for me. We'd sit down and have a chat, and he hung around when my parents were hanging around down at what was that place down?
Barry's.
There you go. So I'm kind of dating myself or whatever, but I'm not that old, pretty young. I want to say thank you to staff and council for your work that you put in the last couple of weeks. It's not an easy gig. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not, but, you know, we plug away to our work, and hopefully at the end of the day, we get the results that we want and that we need. I also want to, while I'm at it, just say thank you to Norm and Kim,
Oh, yes.
who are going to be moving on from the town to pursue other opportunities. And thank you for the work that you've done, and you know, some of the new things that you've implemented since you came here, I'm sure will last after you're gone, hopefully. And just want to say good
Hope so.
luck going forward. That's it. One other thing. Notification came out today. Volunteer Appreciation Night is coming up. If you have somebody that you would like to have added to that invite list, please forward the names to Jen, so we don't forget anybody. One thing that just came to my mind when we talked about Jackburn Arena is our 2 community reps that we have out there. There's 2 reps, right, we got? Yeah. Our 2 community reps, make sure that we got them on our list. Sometimes they get forgotten about and overlooked. But with that, that's it. We didn't have any questions come in, did we, Ed? All right, next public council meeting is February 19th, 2024, right here in the town of Torbay. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, carried. Thank you very much.